This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
And Coach Aaron Thigpen, the source.
Welcome to our podcast today. And Aaron, we got a lot of action going on. We got high school sports going on all the sports are really moving fast. We have youth sports that are really ramping up. They've opened up baseball more, football, youth football, some basketball, smaller groups. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I guess what I think we should talk about today, Aaron, a little bit is expectations and parents having patience with their athletes because they're going to start playing games here pretty soon. And what is the expectation and what do you expect from your young youth players and your high school players as they go through this process of getting back into competition?
Well, yeah, I mean, that moment is here that we've all been waiting for. Things are starting to loosen up and things are gearing up pretty quick. And some people are getting caught flat-footed. Right. Some of the organizations, some of the teams, some of the athletes. And, you do have to kind of make sure you have the right expectations as to, what your performance should look like initially and where you want to take it. Because, again, this isn't just a momentary thing, but we're also talking about going into the summer for a lot of athletes.
Right.
So I think these initial competitions and forays into competition, you want to have the right perspective and understand, hey, what have I been doing the last year or the last 6 months, and kind of adjust your expectations accordingly.
Well, I think the big thing I see, Aaron, a lot is these athletes haven't played in a year. And that's a big thing. Competition with uniforms on, scoreboards, time clocks, whistles, all that stuff. It's a different adrenaline. It's a different feeling. And athletes are going to be nervous. They're going to, say, this feels different. And there's not much of a preseason to start actual, like, it counts.
Yeah.
There's, like, for some organizations or some high schools, it might be a week. And then they're ready to play a league game. Or it might be a week of tryouts and you're going,
Right.
So a lot of times I think athletes aren't prepared mentally for that. Mm-hmm. And then if they're not prepared mentally, how do they understand and handle failure? Because that could happen initially where they're not where they think they should be because they haven't either prepared or thought that, thought themselves through this process of being ready to play.
Yeah. Now, my initial thoughts on that or suggestions to athletes would be just to not panic and kind of stay the course and understand that there's going to be a little bit of a break-in period, whatever sport you're playing, and there's going to be a little bit of rust. And for those who are smart to have trained during this time, that window is going to be a lot shorter than those who haven't. The body muscle memory will start to kick in, and you'll be able to make those adjustments. I think the biggest thing will be the speed of the game. For a lot of athletes, will just take a little bit of time to acclimate. But I wouldn't have a knee-jerk reaction and start really changing things technically just because you're not having initial success.
Right.
I think you should kind of let your, trust in your process and what you've been doing and let it slowly level out and meet the game where it needs to be versus trying to make, too big adjustments. Because I think then you start to spiral into a situation of, maybe fixing things that ain't broke.
Right.
And now you don't know what's going wrong.
It's interesting because as you mentioned that, I think about the abbreviated NBA season, the abbreviated Major League Baseball season. I think about the sports that have had some sort of a season, whether it was golf or stuff like that. And, it can happen so quick and athletes can kind of spiral out if they don't kind of prepare themselves to, slowly get back into the process of, having the aches and pains and maybe not feeling like their timing is good here and there. And so I think it's important, parents out there, and I talk to you about this, is that you can be a good sounding board for your athlete and let them talk to you, and they're going to want to talk to you now, probably more so now than ever, because I think it's a good time to have your ears open and listen to your athlete rather than tell them what to do.
Right.
Listen to what they have to say and figure out how you can support them
Right.
more so than maybe break them down and say, hey, you didn't do this, or you could have done this better. Yeah. Maybe that's not the best way maybe now to start this process, but to listen to what they say and maybe ask them questions. They're going to ask you questions, or let them start the conversation, whether you're coming home from the game or they want to talk to you. Let them start that, because they're going to have a lot to say during that period.
Yeah, I think that will go a long way in making the athlete more comfortable in the transition. And I really think it's going to come down to their confidence. And whatever you can do to help, bolster or at least shore up their confidence. And again, by bringing that perspective and saying, well, hey, look, you haven't played in a year.
Right.
This is what's to be expected.
Right.
And let's not panic. Let's, trust your teachings, trust your training, and see it through, and things again will level out for you. And I think that's a big thing that a big part parents can play, versus, okay, let's try and fix this.
Right.
I just think that's not the right way to go, especially with an athlete who has been doing the right things over this time period. Now, if you have an athlete who hasn't been doing the right things, I'm going to go there.
We're going to go there today.
Now it's a great learning lesson.
Oh, it is.
Say, hey, look, you've had a year to get ready.
Right, it's been a year.
And, you didn't do so much. Well, that's kind of, you kind of get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And, again, great teaching moment. So don't be afraid to, there's nothing wrong with a little I told you so.
Oh, there's nothing.
Especially if it illustrates your point and can really cement in a change in the athlete, so they don't let it happen again.
Right. And and I say this to the athletes, is your attitude is so critical now, whether you're having success or failure. Whether you're training or not training during this period, if you do really well, it's not the time to get the biggest head and say, hey, look where I'm at. It's more or less, hey, listen, I appreciate being out there. I'm trying to improve each and every time I go out. And then, athletes, you're going to be frustrated sometimes because things aren't going as fast as you would like to. Hang in there and just move in a positive direction. Your attitude and how you carry yourself, your mannerisms, your energy, it affects your team, your teammates. Just be bigger than that and move forward and try to get yourself in a really good position where you're actually growing and developing again.
Excellent. I don't have anything else to add.
I like that. Well, Aaron, like we said, this whole transition period is in front of us now, and we're ready to move forward with some action finally. Yep. So that concludes our podcast today. Again, this is Coach EJ, the brand.
Coach Aaron, the source. Go compete.